Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Dr. Anthony Robinson, and I'm so thrilled to have all of you here today for another training session designed exclusively for you. But before we jump in, I want to take a moment to give a warm shout out to all of you who completed the first few training sessions that we've done so far. Your dedication to learning and growing is what drives these sessions forward. And I hope you're finding them valuable and inspiring. If this is your first time joining us and you're new to the program, welcome aboard. You have picked a great time to tune in, because today's topic is something that I believe can set the stage for incredible success, not just for now, but for years to come. So today we are going to talk about something that really gets me excited. Entrepreneurship 101, starting a business in high school. Yeah, you heard that right. We're talking about getting that entrepreneurial mindset going early. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, why start a business in high school? I've got homework, I've got exams, and maybe even a part-time job. I get it. I really do. High school is busy. But that's exactly why today's session is so important. Starting a business now while you're young can give you a massive head start in life. You're about to learn how to manage time, build something from the ground up, and turn your passions into profit. And trust me, the skills that you will pick up along the way, whether you end up sticking with the business idea or not, will help you succeed in just about any field you step into later on. So, what are we going to cover today? Well, let me break it down for you. First, I'm going to show you why this topic matters, why entrepreneurship isn't just for adults or seasoned professionals, but why it's also one of the smartest moves that you can make as a high schooler. After that, I'm going to walk you through the specific things that you will learn by the end of this session. You're going to walk away with some real, tangible knowledge, things you can actually use starting today to set yourself up for entrepreneurial success. Then we're going to dive deep into the nuts and bolts. I'm talking the core concepts of building a business from scratch. Things like finding your passion, identifying opportunities, and understanding your market. These aren't just theoretical ideas. They're actionable steps that you can take right now. But don't worry, I'm not just going to throw a bunch of information at you and leave you hanging. We're going to talk strategy too. How do you actually execute on these ideas? What are some best practices to make sure your business isn't just an idea that fades away after a month? This session is about creating something real, something sustainable. And the best part is coming from someone who has actually done what you're trying to do and building a seven-figure business myself. Then it's going to get interactive. I want you to really put these ideas to the test. So we'll have some exercises and scenarios that will challenge you to think like an entrepreneur. It's not just about listening, it's about doing. I want you to reflect on these exercises, discuss them with others, and start applying what you learn today, tomorrow, and the next day. Finally, we will talk about how this all translates into real world success. I'll share some stories of high school entrepreneurs who turned their ideas into successful businesses. And yes, we will also address the challenges, because let's face it, no one starts a business without hitting a few bumps along the way. But don't worry, I've got some solutions and troubleshooting advice for those rough patches. You'll leave this session with tools that will help you face those challenges head on. And of course, we will wrap things up with some final thoughts and action items. So if you've got burning questions about starting your own business, hang tight. We will talk about all of this in this training today. But before we dive any deeper, let's take a moment to think about why this topic is so important. Why should you, as a high school student, even think about starting a business? Well, here's the thing. The world is changing fast. Traditional paths like going to college, getting a job, and working your way up the corporate ladder aren't the only options anymore. In fact, more and more people are creating their own opportunities, starting side hustles, launching small businesses, and even becoming their own bosses before they even walked across the graduation stage. And you know what? High school is the perfect time to experiment, to try things out, and to fail. Yes, fail. Because failure isn't a bad thing in entrepreneurship. It's how you learn, it's how you grow, and it's how you figure out what works and what doesn't. Starting a business in high school isn't just about making money, although that's a pretty sweet bonus. It's about learning real world skills that will set you apart from your peers. Skills like problem solving, leadership, and resilience. Think about it like this. While your classmates are learning how to follow instructions, you're learning how to create something from scratch. You're learning how to turn an idea into a reality. You're building confidence in yourself and your abilities, and you're gaining experience that, frankly, no textbook or classroom can offer. I'm going to share some examples throughout this session, but let me give you a quick one to start with. There's a guy named Mosiah Bridges. Maybe you've heard of him. He started his own business, Mo's Bows, at the age 9. He was on Shark Tank. He loved wearing bow ties, but couldn't find any that he liked. So he decided to make his own. Fast forward a few years, he got a full-on company. He's got a full-on company selling bow ties all over the world. He even landed a partnership with the NBA. And the coolest part, he started all of this while still in school. In fact, he was in elementary or middle school when he started Mo's Bows. And he started all of this while obviously still in school, juggling homework, friends, and his passion for fashion. So yeah, you don't need to wait until you're older to start something big. In fact, starting now gives you an edge. The earlier you start, the more time you have to grow, pivot, and improve. And if you stick with it, by the time you graduate, you will have already had a head start on building the kind of life that you want. All right, that's enough of me hyping you up. Let's get into the nitty gritty of what you're going to learn today. By the end of this session, you're going to have a solid understanding of how to take your idea and turn it into a business. You're going to learn how to identify opportunities in your everyday life, things that people need or problems that you can solve. You're also going to get a clear idea on how to create a plan, how to market your business, and how to manage your time between school and entrepreneurship. This isn't just theory. I'm going to give you real, actionable steps that you can follow. You will also hear about some common mistakes that new entrepreneurs make and how to avoid them. But more importantly, you're going to walk away with the confidence to take that first step, because starting a business, especially at a young age, can feel intimidating. But I'm here to tell you that it's 100% possible. And by the time we are done today, I hope you'll believe that too. Now, let's move into the core concepts of what it really takes to get a business off the ground. And listen, this is the fun part, because this is where you start to see your ideas come to life. First off, we are going to talk about finding your passion and identifying opportunities around you. This is key because every great business starts with a passion, something you're genuinely interested in, something that gets you excited. Maybe you love creating art. Maybe you're into coding, or maybe you've got a knack for organizing events. Whatever it is, that's your starting point. When you combine your passion with an opportunity, a problem that needs solving, you're already halfway to a great business idea. Next, we will dig into understanding your market. It's one thing to have an idea, but who are you going to sell it to? You've got to know your audience, understand their needs, and figure out how your product or service fits into their lives. This part is all about research, observation, and a little bit of trial and error. And after that, we will get into the practical side of things, like how to create a business plan that actually works for you, how to manage your time between school and business, and how to market your brand in a way that resonates with people. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's start with the foundation. Let's talk about the first core concept, turning your passion into a business idea. All right, ready? Let's go. So now that we've set the stage, let's get into why this topic, entrepreneurship, especially starting a business in high school, is so important. And I'm not talking about just the surface level stuff like you can make some extra money. Sure, that's a great perk, but there's so much more to it than that. This is about building a foundation that can change the way you approach life, your career, and even your personal growth. Starting a business now isn't just about launching a product or a service. It's about developing skills that will benefit you for the rest of your life. So let's think about it. Why entrepreneurship? Why is this something that matters now? Well, and especially while you're in high school. You might be juggling homework, sports, friends, and all those other responsibilities that come with being a teenager. So why throw a business into the mix? Well, the answer is really simple. The world that we are living in today is different from the one that existed even a decade ago. Gone are the days when you had to wait until you graduated, got a degree, and worked for someone else just to gain experience, to make a living. Today, the playing field is wide open. Technology, social media, and the internet have changed everything. You can reach a global audience from your cell phone. You can build a brand and run a business literally from your bedroom. And here's the thing, starting young gives you an advantage. High school is the perfect time to test the waters because you have the space to experiment. You've got fewer responsibilities than, say, a full-time working adult. You can afford to take risks and try new things. If something doesn't work, no big deal. You've got time to pivot, learn, and try again. And that's what entrepreneurship is all about. Learning through experience, adapting, and constantly growing. So let's talk about how this impacts your life right now. Maybe you're passionate about something such as art, gaming, coding, fashion, you name it. The skills you're learning in school might feel disconnected from real life, right? You're sitting in math class thinking, when am I ever going to need to solve for X in the real world? But here's where starting a business makes everything click. Suddenly, math isn't just about numbers on a page. It's about budgeting for your business, calculating profit margins, or figuring out how much to charge for your product or service. English class, that's helping you write persuasive emails, pitch ideas, and create compelling content for your marketing. You see, when you start a business, everything you're learning in school starts to have real world relevance. And it doesn't stop at school. Think about how entrepreneurship impacts your future. Whether or not you decide to stick with the business you start now, the skills you pick up along the way, like problem solving, communication, leadership, and financial literacy, are going to be huge assets no matter what career you choose. Employers are always on the lookout for people who can think creatively and handle challenges on their own. And if you decide to go the route of being your own boss, well, you'll already be ahead of the game. You'll know what it takes to hustle, manage your time, and keep pushing forward, even when things get tough. Let me share a quick story to bring this to life. A few years ago, there was this high schooler named Hart Maine. He came up with the idea to create manly scented candles with scents like fresh cut grass, campfire, and even bacon. He saw an opportunity because he noticed that most candles out there were marketed towards women with scents like vanilla and lavender. So he started a business called Man Cans, filling this niche that no one else was really paying attention to. The best part, he was just 13 when he launched this business. And by the time he was 16, he had sold thousands of candles across the country, all because he saw a gap in the market and took action on an idea. Now, not everyone's going to launch the next big candle company, and that's totally okay. The point is that starting something, even something small, gives you real world experience that you can't just get from books alone. You'll learn how to see opportunities where others might not. You will learn how to take initiative to solve problems and to bounce back from failure. That mindset, the entrepreneurial mindset, is invaluable whether you go into business, work for a company, or pursue any kind of career. And let's not forget the potential to make an impact. Businesses have the power to solve real world problems and make people's lives better. Whether you're creating something fun and creative like Heartmain's candles or launching a service that helps people in your community, your business can be a force for good. And starting young gives you more time to figure out what kind of mark you want to leave on the world. So why is this important? Because entrepreneurship isn't just about making money. It's about taking control of your future. It's about gaining experience, developing skills, and growing as a person. It's about seeing the world through a different lens and understanding that you have the power to create, innovate, and make a difference. And the sooner you start, the more you'll have time to learn, grow, and perfect your craft. All right, so now that we understand why entrepreneurship is such a game changer, let's move forward. Because while all of this sounds exciting, I know it can feel overwhelming when you're starting from scratch. But don't worry, that's what we're here for. So next up, we're going to break down exactly what you'll walk away with by the end of today's session and how we're going to get there. Are you ready? Let's dive into the objectives. All right, now, so we have covered why entrepreneurship is such a game changer. So let's take a moment to talk about what you are actually going to get out of today's session. I want you to walk away from this knowing exactly how to turn an idea into a business. I'm not here to give you vague inspiration. You're going to leave with real actionable steps that you can start working on immediately. By the end of our time together today, you're going to have a solid understanding of what it takes to get your business up and running, even while you're still in high school. You will know how to take something that you're passionate about, something that lights a fire in you, and turn it into a business idea that makes sense. You're going to learn how to look around at opportunities that are right in front of you. Sometimes they're hiding in plain sight, and figure out how to tap into them. But that's just the beginning. We are also going to get into how to create a simple, effective business plan. Now, I know the word business plan can sound intimidating, but don't worry. I'm going to break it down into something that feels manageable. This isn't about writing a 20-page document with all the fancy jargon. We're talking about understanding the core things like what you're selling, who are your customers, and how you're going to reach them. This plan is going to serve as a roadmap. So you're not just wandering aimlessly with your ideas, but actually moving forward with clear steps. Next, we will dive into how to market your business, because having a great idea is awesome. But if no one knows about it, it's going to stay just that, an idea. So I will show you how to get the word out there, even if you don't have a huge budget. Social media, word of mouth, leveraging your school network. These are all tools that you can use right now to get people interested in what you're doing. I want you to start thinking like a marketer, even before you've made your first sale. And of course, we are going to talk about managing your time. This is a big one, especially when you've got school, extracurriculars, maybe even a part-time job, and then a business on top of all of that. So I will give you strategies to balance all of it so that you don't feel overwhelmed. You will learn how to prioritize, how to set small, achievable goals, and how to stay focused even when things get busy. You will also walk away knowing some common mistakes that new entrepreneurs make and how to avoid them. So trust me, there are a few missteps that are super easy to fall into, like underpricing your product or service, or trying to do everything yourself without asking for help. We will also cover these pitfalls. We will cover these pitfalls so that you can dodge them and save yourself a ton of headaches down the road. But most importantly, by the end of today, you will have the confidence to take that first step, because honestly, that's often the hardest part, just starting. I want you to feel empowered, ready to tackle whatever idea you've got brewing in your mind and start turning it into something real. All right. So now that you've got a sense of what's coming, now it's time to dive into the real meat of today's session. So let's get into the core concepts of starting a business while you're still in high school. All right. Now, so let's dive into the heart of what we're here talking about today. The core concepts of starting a business in high school. This is where you will see how everything connects. And by the time that we're done, I want you to feel like, okay, I actually know how to take my idea and turn it into something real. So let's start with the foundation. The first concept that we're going to dig into is this: finding your passion and turning it into a business idea. Now, I know finding your passion can sound like one of those cliche pieces of advice, but I promise you, it's the starting point for every great business idea. Passion is the fuel that's going to keep you going when things get tough. Because let's be honest, running a business isn't always a walk in the park. There are going to be days when it's frustrating, when you feel like you're not making progress, or when you're juggling so many things at once that you want to throw your hands up. That's when passion comes in. If you're doing something that you truly care about, it's a lot easier to push through those tough moments. I like to describe it as the why your business exists. And the answer to that question usually comes from passion. So how do you figure out what that passion is? Well, think about the things you love doing, the things that you would do for free. What do you do in your free time that doesn't feel like a chore? Maybe it's something creative, like designing graphics or making videos. Maybe you've got a knack for tutoring or helping others solve problems. Or maybe you're into fitness and you love helping your friends stay active. Whatever it is, your passion is your starting point. Now, here's where we connect that passion to a business idea. The key is to ask yourself, what problem can I solve with this passion? Because that's what every successful business does. It solves a problem or meets a need. Take, for example, a high schooler named Jordan Casey from Ireland. He loved gaming and started coding at a young age. He didn't just play games, he figured out how to make them. So by the time he was 15, he had founded his own game development company, creating apps and games that people could actually buy. His passion for gaming turned into a business because he saw a need. People wanted fun, innovative games, and he knew how to create them. So once you've identified what you love to do, start thinking about how you can use that passion to solve a problem for others. And remember, It doesn't have to be a world-changing problem. It could be something simple like offering affordable tutoring for your classmates or creating personalized art commissions. The goal is to take what you enjoy and figure out how to offer it in a way that brings value to other people. All right, so now that you've got your passion and you've connected it to a business idea, the second concept we need to explore is understanding your market. This is where things get strategic. You've got an idea, but now you need to figure out who's actually going to buy into it. Who are your customers? What do they care about? And how can you reach them? This part is critical because you can have the best product in the world, but if you're trying to sell it to the wrong audience, it's going to flop. So let's break it down. Your market is basically the group of people who are most likely to benefit from what you're offering. And it's your job to get to know them. So if you're selling handmade jewelry, for example, who's your customer? Is it teenagers who want something unique and trendy? Is it adults looking for a personalized gift? The more you understand who your customer is, the better you can tailor your product and marketing it to fit their needs. Let me give you another example. There's a high schooler named Michaela Ulmer who started a company called Me and the Bees Lemonade. She was also on Shark Tank. When she was just 11 years old, she took her great grandmother's flaxseed lemonade recipe and turned it into a business. But here's the genius part. She connected her product to a bigger cause. She learned about the decline of bee populations and decided to donate a portion of her profits to help save the bees. Her market wasn't just people who liked lemonade. It was also people who cared about the environment and wanted to support a good cause. So by understanding her market, Michaela turned a simple lemonade stand into a national lemonade brand, with her product now being sold in stores like Whole Foods. So think about your audience. Who are they? What are their interests? What problems are they facing that your business can help solve? This is where research comes in. Talk to people, listen to what they're saying, pay attention to the trends. Social media is a great tool for this. You can see what people are talking about, what they're interested in, and even what they are struggling with. The better you know your market, the easier it will be to create a product or service that resonates with them. Now, let's move on to the third concept, creating a business plan. Don't worry, I'm not talking about some long formal document that's filled with industry jargon. This is about creating a simple roadmap that keeps you on track. Think of it like a guide that helps you stay focused on what matters most. Your business plan doesn't need to be complicated. It just needs to cover a few things. What are you selling? Who are you selling it to? How are you going to get the word out? And how are you going to make money? So let's break that down. First, who are you selling? Or what are you selling? This could be a product, a service, or even an experience. So be clear about what you're offering and why it's valuable. Next, who are you selling it to? This is where all that market research come into play. You need to know who your customers are and what they care about. Then, how are you going to get the word out? Are you going to promote your business on social media? Are you going to create a website? Maybe you'll start by telling your friends and family and letting word of mouth build momentum. And finally, how are you going to make money? Are you are you charging for a product, offering a subscription service, maybe even running ads on a website or YouTube channel? Let's say that you've decided to start a tutoring business for middle school students. Your business plan might look something like this. You're offering one-on-one tutoring sessions in math and science. Your target audience is middle school students who need extra help, and you're going to reach them by promoting your services through social media and by posting flyers in local libraries and schools. You'll charge an hourly rate for your sessions, and you will also offer discounts for students who book multiple sessions at once. Boom, you've got a business plan. It doesn't have to be complicated. It just needs to give you direction so that you know what you're doing, so that you know what you're working hard towards. And here's the thing, your business plan is going to evolve. As you learn more and gain experience, you might tweak it, change your pricing, or adjust your marketing strategy. That's normal. The key is to start with something simple and clear so that you're not trying to figure it out as you go. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. This all sounds great, but what if I don't have a ton of money to start with? And that's a fair question, which leads to another crucial part of this process. Starting small and using what you have. You don't need to have a massive budget or fancy equipment just to get started. Some of the best businesses started with just an idea and a little bit of hustle. Let's go back to Michaela and her lemonade business. She didn't start out with a huge budget. She used a family recipe, mixed lemonade in her kitchen, and started selling it at local events. She used the resources she had and built from there. The same goes for you. If you're starting a graphic design business, use free design software and start by offering your services to friends or local businesses. And if you're making handmade crafts, you don't need to buy a ton of materials up front. Start with small batches, sell them, and use the profits to invest back in your business. The point is, don't let a lack of resources stop you. Be creative with what you have. Use free online tools, network with people in your community, and start small. You can always grow later, but for now, the key is just to get started. So there you have it. Those are the core concepts we're working with today. Finding your passion, understanding your market, creating a simple business plan, and starting small with the resources you have. Each of these steps builds on the one before it, and together they give you a solid foundation to start your entrepreneurial journey. Now that we've got the groundwork laid out, let's talk strategy. How do you actually execute these ideas and turn them into a thriving business? So stick with me. We're about to get into the practical side of things. All right, so now that we've got the foundation laid out, let's talk about strategy. You've got your passion, you understand your market, you've got a simple plan in place, and you're starting small. So how do you turn all of that into something that actually works? This is where we dive into the best practices and strategies, because while it's great to have ideas, it's even better to have a game plan that helps you execute those ideas successfully. The first thing we need to talk about is consistency. This is one of the most important aspects of running a business, especially when you're just starting out. It doesn't matter how good your product or service is if you're not consistently putting yourself out there. You need to show up for your business even when you don't feel like it. Whether that means posting regularly on social media, reaching out to potential customers, or continually working on improving your product, consistency is key. One of the biggest mistakes that people make, especially when they're new to entrepreneurship, is getting excited at the start, putting in a lot of effort for a few weeks, and then slowing down or losing motivation when they don't see instant results. And trust me, I get it. It's tough when you're not seeing immediate success. But here's the thing. Most successful businesses don't blow up overnight. It takes time. The small, consistent actions you take every day are what build momentum over time. So whether you're spending an hour each day posting about your business, networking, or improving your product, that consistency is what will ultimately set you apart. Now, let's talk about something else that's just as important: setting realistic goals. I want you to dream big for sure, but I also want you to set goals that are achievable in the short term. If your goal is to make thousands of dollars a month by the end of your first week, you're going to get discouraged fast. Instead, break it down into smaller, actionable steps. Maybe your goal for the first week is to build your website or set up a social media page. Maybe by the end of the month, your goal is to land your first paying customer. These small wins are what keep you motivated, and they also help you measure your progress. So here's a strategy I like to use: the one thing rule. Each day, ask yourself, what's the one thing I can do today that will move my business forward? Just one thing. It might be sending an email, making a social media post, or spending 30 minutes learning a new skill. That one thing adds up over time. And if you can do that every day, even with a busy schedule, you will be amazed how much progress you've made by the end of the month. Another critical strategy is building relationships. And I can't stress this one enough. Networking is everything. Whether you're talking to other students, teachers, or even local business owners, building a strong network can open up opportunities you never even thought of. Your business isn't just about selling a product or a service. It's about creating connections. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Tell people what you're working on. Ask for advice. Offer to help others with their projects. Collaboration and community are huge in the world of entrepreneurship. Now, one common mistake that I see a lot of new entrepreneurs make is trying to do everything themselves. And listen, I get it. You're passionate about your idea and you want to be in control of every aspect. But here's the reality: you can't do everything, because if you're doing everything, you don't own a business, you own a job. So at least not, and you can't do this, at least, definitely if you want to avoid burnout. So one of the best strategies you can implement is learning how to delegate, whether that means teaming up with a friend who has complementary skills or using tools to automate parts of your business. You need to figure out how to make your workload manageable. There are tons of free or affordable tools out there that can help you streamline your business. Things like social media scheduling apps, graphic design tools, and even websites that can handle customer payouts. Use them. They will save you time and energy, and they will help your business run smoothly. Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about feedback. This is a game changer, especially when you're starting out. You're not going to get everything right the first time. No one does. But if you're willing to listen to feedback, you can make improvements that take your business to the next level. Don't be afraid to ask your customers what they think. What do they like about your product or service? What could be better? This kind of feedback isn't criticism. It's an opportunity for growth. And finally, let's talk about adaptability. Things change, markets change, customer needs change, and your business needs to be able to adapt. If you notice that something isn't working, whether it's a marketing strategy, a product, or even the way that you're pricing your services, don't be afraid to pivot. The beauty of being a young entrepreneur is that you're not locked into anything. You have the flexibility to test different approaches and see what works best. Don't cling to something that isn't serving you just because it was part of your original plan. Successful entrepreneurs know how to adjust their strategies, and they're not afraid to do it. So let's recap. Stay consistent, set realistic goals, build relationships, delegate when necessary, listen to feedback, and be adaptable. These best practices will help you avoid some of the common pitfalls that trip up new entrepreneurs and give you the tools to build a business that's sustainable, scalable, and most importantly, aligned with your passion. All right. Now that you've got some solid strategies under your belt, let's move on to the next part. We've talked about the concepts. We've talked about the strategy. And now it's time to make things interactive. So let's look at some exercises that you can use to put all of this into practice and start thinking like a true entrepreneur. So now that we've laid out the core concepts and strategies, let's roll up our sleeves and get a little bit more hands-on. The best way to start thinking like an entrepreneur is to actually do what entrepreneurs do. So we're going to dive into some interactive activities that will really help you apply what we've talked about so far. These exercises are designed to make you think, reflect, and start seeing things from a business perspective. It's about putting theory into practice because let's face it, entrepreneurship is all about action. So first things first, I want you to think about your passion. Remember earlier when we talked about how important it is to identify what lights you up. Now let's really dig into that. Close your eyes for a second, unless you're driving, of course, and think about one thing you could spend hours doing without getting bored. What's that one thing? Maybe it's creating art, playing sports, building something, or even solving puzzles. Whatever it is, that's your starting point. Now open your eyes if they were closed and write that down. We are going to work with that. All right. Now that you've got your passion in mind, let's turn that into a business idea. Ask yourself, what problem can I solve with this passion? Remember, every business solves a problem, no matter how big or small. If you're passionate about fitness, maybe the problem you solve is helping classmates to get in shape for sports tryouts. If you love designing logos, maybe your business is helping small local businesses create professional branding. So take a minute to brainstorm a few ideas and jot them down. Once you've got your idea in mind, we're going to step into a scenario. So imagine this. You've just come up with a brilliant business idea, and now you need to pitch it to a potential customer or investor. How do you sell your idea in a way that gets people excited? This is where it gets real. I want you to practice your elevator pitch. Something short and sweet that sums up your business, what your business does, why it's valuable, and how you can help your audience. Here's a little formula to guide you. I help target audience solve problem by providing the solution. For example, if your idea is a tutoring service for middle school students, your pitch might sound something like, I help middle school students who struggle with math by offering personalized one-on-one tutoring that makes learning fun and easy to understand. I'm gonna say that again for you. I help middle school students who struggle with math by offering personalized one-on-one tutoring that makes learning fun and easy to understand. So that's that formula. I help audience solve problem by providing. That's your formula. So take a few minutes to come up with your own pitch. Practice saying it out loud. Remember, the goal is to be clear, confident, and get straight to the point. This is your chance to convince someone why they should care about what you're offering. Don't overthink it. Just keep it simple and focus on the problem you're solving. Now, once you've got that pitch down, I want you to switch gears and imagine a different scenario. Let's say you've launched your business and you've started getting some traction. You've got a few customers, things are going well, but then, boom, a problem pops up. Maybe a customer isn't happy with your product, or maybe you're having trouble managing your time between school and your business. What do? Here's where we step into the role play part of today's exercise. I want you to think about a challenge that you might face with your business. What's one potential problem that could throw you off course? Maybe it's something like not getting enough customers at first, or maybe it's struggling to meet deadlines because of schoolwork. Whatever it is, write that problem down. Now, here's the important part. How do you handle it? What steps can you take to solve that problem and keep moving forward? I want you to reflect on the strategies that we talked about earlier. Staying consistent, asking for feedback, being adaptable. Apply those strategies to the challenge that you've written down. Think about how you'd approach the problem and what you do to turn things around. And don't be afraid to get creative, because sometimes the best solutions come from thinking outside the box. So if you're doing this exercise with a group or with someone, this is the perfect time for some discussion. Share your challenge with a group or with someone that's close to you. You will be surprised how much you can learn from hearing different perspectives. Plus, sometimes when you're stuck on a problem, someone else's fresh take can open up new ideas that you hadn't ever thought of. Now, here's the final exercise I want you to work on. Imagine you've already launched your business and you're starting to see success. Customers are coming in, sales are growing, and things are looking good. But now you need to figure out how to keep that momentum going. What's your next move? This is where you start thinking like a strategist. I want you to write down 3 things that you could do to grow your business over the next 6 months. Maybe it's expanding your product line. Maybe it's reaching out to a new customer base. Or maybe it's collaborating with other businesses or influencers in your niche. Whatever it is, think about the steps that you will take to keep your business moving forward. Once you've got those 3 ideas, take a moment to reflect on which one would have the biggest impact. How can you prioritize your next steps? So that you're not just maintaining your business, but actively growing it. All right, that's it for the interactive portion of today's session. These exercises are designed to help you think critically. They're designed to help you start applying the concepts that we are talking about. And the best part, you can keep coming back to these activities as your business grows and evolves. So now let's shift gears a bit and talk about how all of this translates into real world applications. How do these concepts play out in the real world? And what can you expect when you start putting these ideas into action? All right, now, so we have worked through some exercises. Let's talk about what this looks like in the real world. Because here's the thing. Everything that we've discussed so far is not just theory. These are real strategies, real concepts that people just like you have used to build businesses that are thriving today. So I'm talking about students, high schoolers, even young kids who took their ideas, their passions, and turned them into something that works. So how do the concepts that we've been talking about actually play out in real life? Let's start with the basics. Applying what you've learned to real situations. Picture this. You've identified your passion. You found a market for it, and you've launched your business. Maybe it's something simple like selling handmade crafts online or offering tutoring services after school. At first, it's all about figuring out the logistics. You're balancing school with this new entrepreneurial project. And yeah, there are going to be moments when it feels a little overwhelming, but you stick with it. You keep putting in the work day after day, just like we've talked about with consistency. Now imagine that you start getting some traction, word spreads. Maybe your classmates start telling their friends about the work that you're doing, or maybe someone reposts one of your social media posts, and suddenly you've got people from other schools reaching out. That's when it hits you. You're actually building something real. You're not just starting a business. You are a business owner. That's the real world application of everything we've been discussing today. It's the moment when you realize that the concepts we've covered, like understanding your market, staying consistent, and thinking strategically, are the foundation for something much bigger than just an idea. Let me give you a concrete example. Have you heard of Ben Pasternak? He was a teenager from Australia who at 15 years old created an app called Impossible Rush during his high school lunch breaks. It was simple but addictive, and within a few weeks, it had millions of downloads. Now, he didn't just stop there. He used that initial success as a stepping stone and went on to create multiple tech companies. He's now the CEO of a company called Nugs, which makes plant-based chicken nuggets. The thing is, Ben didn't wait for the right time to start. He saw an opportunity, he took action, and he applied the same concepts that we've been talking about: finding his market, building something people wanted, and scaling it once he saw the demand. But you don't have to be a tech whiz or create the next viral app to see these concepts work in your life. You can apply them in smaller, more personal ways too. Let's say you're starting a local service business, maybe mowing lawns or washing cars, or even offering social media management for small businesses in your area. The same principles still apply. You have to understand who your customers are, what they need, and how you can offer value. You have to build relationships, ask for feedback, and figure out ways to grow without burning yourself out. And here's where the real world magic happens. Once you start delivering consistently and meeting people's needs, your reputation grows. You become the go-to person in your community for that service. That's not just a business, it's brand building, and it's something that can carry you far beyond high school. Now, let's talk about the long-term benefits of applying what you're learning right now. One of the biggest advantages of starting a business early while you're in school is that you're building up real life skills that will stay with you for the rest of your life. Think about it. Entrepreneurship teaches you things that traditional education doesn't always cover. You're learning how to manage your time, how to communicate effectively with customers, how to market yourself, and how to handle setbacks. These are skills that employers look for no matter what field you end up in. Even if you don't stick with your business long term, these skills that you're developing right now are going to set you apart in job interviews, college applications, and beyond. And for those of you who do stick with your business, who knows where that could lead? You might find that your side hustle grows into something full time by the time that you graduate. Maybe you'll hire a couple of friends to help you expand. Maybe you'll turn what started as a local business into an online brand that reaches customers all across the country or even the world. The possibilities are endless, and that's the beauty of applying these concepts in real life. One of the most rewarding outcomes of all of this is the confidence that you will build along the way. There's something incredibly empowering about taking an idea, something that started as just a thought in your mind, and turning it into something tangible. You will gain confidence not just in your business, but in yourself. You'll start to see that you're capable of more than you thought possible. And that mindset shift alone can change the course of your future. So here's the bottom line. When you apply these concepts in real life situations, you're not just learning how to start a business. You're learning how to take control of your own path. You're building skills, gaining experience, and creating opportunities for yourself that go far beyond high school. And that's where the true power of entrepreneurship lies. It gives you the ability to shape your own future, starting right now. All right, so we've covered how these concepts play out in the real world, but I know starting a business doesn't always go perfectly. There are challenges, bumps in the road, and things you don't always see coming. So next, we're going to talk about some of those challenges and, more importantly, how to overcome them. So we've talked about the core concepts, strategies, and how all of this plays out in the real world. But now it's time to get real for a second, because let's face it, starting a business, especially as a high school student, isn't always smooth sailing. There are going to be challenges that you might hit roadblocks that you didn't expect. And that's okay. The important thing is to be ready for those challenges and know how to work through them when they come up. One of the most common challenges that you're likely going to face is time management. I know between school, extracurriculars, and maybe even a part-time job, finding time for work on your business can feel like a juggling act. There are so many hours in a day, right? But here's a solution. You don't need huge chunks of time to make progress. It's all about making the most of the time that you do have. Remember when we talked about setting small, manageable goals? That's the key here. Instead of trying to dedicate 5 straight hours on a weekend, carve out an hour each day. Whether it's early in the morning, during lunch, use those moments to knock out one task at a time. And don't forget the one thing rule. Just focus on one of the most important tasks for the day. Progress is progress, no matter how small it is. Another big challenge is staying motivated when things don't go as planned. Because let's be honest, things aren't always going to go as planned. Maybe you launch your product and the sales don't come pouring in right away. Or maybe you reach out to people and get crickets in response. It's easy to feel discouraged when you hit those moments of slow growth. But here's what I want you to remember. Entrepreneurship is a marathon, not a sprint. Just because something isn't working right now doesn't mean it won't work in the long run. Sometimes you need to tweak your approach or simply give it more time. So here's a practical solution. When you feel your motivation dipping, focus on why did you start your business in the first place? What's the bigger picture for you? Maybe it's the freedom of being your own boss or the thrill of seeing your ideas come to life. Whatever it is, remind yourself of that purpose and don't be afraid to take a short break when you need it. Stepping back for a moment can give you a fresh perspective and you'll come back even more motivated to push through. Now, let's talk about money. This is a challenge that stops a lot of people in their tracks, especially when you're in high school and don't have access to large sums of cash. Maybe you've got a great idea, but you're worried about how to fund it. The solution here is to start small. You don't need a ton of capital to get going. Remember, some of the most successful businesses started with next to nothing. So if you're offering a service, you probably don't need much upfront investment. And if you're selling a product, start by creating a small batch. Sell those and use the profits to grow. Another option, consider offering pre-sales. That way, you can gauge interest before you invest too much. And the money from those pre-sales can help fund your next steps. And hey, let's not forget about one of the biggest challenges, right? Fear of failure. This one's particularly huge, especially when you're putting yourself out there for the first time. Maybe you're worried that your idea won't work or that people won't take you seriously because you're young. But here's the thing. Every entrepreneur faces that fear. It's part of the journey. The key is not to let it stop you from taking action. Failure isn't the end, it's feedback. If something doesn't work, it's an opportunity to learn, adjust, and come back stronger. A particular solution to overcoming fear is to break your goals into tiny, low-risk steps. Instead of thinking about launching your entire business, start with something small, like talking to potential customers or posting about your idea online. Each small win builds your confidence, and before you know it, you've got momentum. Finally, let's tackle one last challenge, which is getting support. Entrepreneurship can sometimes feel like a solo journey, especially if your friends or family don't quite get what you're doing. Maybe they don't understand what you're spending your weekends working on, or why you're spending your weekends working on a business instead of hanging out. This can feel isolating, but the solution is simple. Find your tribe. Connect with other young entrepreneurs online or in your community. Join clubs, attend workshops, or even reach out to mentors. Surrounding yourself with people who understand the hustle will keep you motivated and inspired even on tough days. So there you have it. Whether it's time management, staying motivated, handling money, or overcoming fear, but none of these things are deal breakers. Every challenge has a solution, and more importantly, every challenge is a stepping stone to success. Entrepreneurship is all about problem solving, and the good news is you've already got what it takes to figure it out. Now that we've discussed those challenges, let's talk about wrapping this all up. What are the key takeaways from today's session? And what's your next step in this entrepreneurial journey? As we start to wrap things up, let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've covered today. It's been a lot, but the key is to break it down into actionable steps, because remember, entrepreneurship isn't just about the ideas. It's about what you do with those ideas. So let's go over the most important points from today and make sure that you're ready to take the next steps in your entrepreneurial journey. First, we talked about finding your passion and turning that into a business idea. This is the heart of it all. Doing something that you actually care about, something that excites you, whether it's a hobby, a skill, or even just a problem that you're passionate about solving. That's where you start. Passion is your fuel, and without it, the journey can feel a lot tougher, and you'll be much more likely to quit and give up. So if you take anything away from today, let it be this: follow what excites you, because that's where the magic happens. Then we dove into understanding your market, knowing who your customers are and what they need. This is crucial. You can have the best product or service in the world, but if it's not solving a problem for someone, it's going to fall flat on its face. That's why getting to know your audience is so important. Who are they? What do they care about? What problems do they need help with? This is where you can really start building something that has value. Next, we covered the basics of creating a business plan. And I hope by now you realize that a business plan doesn't have to be this big, scary thing. It's just your roadmap to where, for where you're going. It's about laying out what you're offering, who you're offering it to, and how you're going to get it there. This doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be something, because it's something that you will ultimately adjust as you go. But it's important to have that direction in your mind. We also talked about the best practices, things like consistency, setting small goals, and building relationships. These are the habits that will help you succeed. Consistency is huge because businesses aren't built overnight. You've got to show up even on the days when you don't feel like it. And remember that setting small, achievable goals will help keep you motivated and give you a sense of progress, and also help you to build relationships, which is also a key. Your network will help you open doors and give you the support that you need along the way. Now, let's not forget the challenges that we talked about. Every entrepreneur faces obstacles, whether it's managing time, dealing with fear of failure, or finding the right balance between school and your business. But here's the good news. These challenges don't have to stop you. They're part of the process. And for each one, there is a solution. The key is to stay flexible, keep learning, and don't be afraid to adjust your course when things don't go as planned. So what are the next steps? Well, it's time to take action. You've got the tools that you need now, but they won't mean anything unless you use them. Take that passion of yours, start brainstorming how you can turn it into a business idea, and then put it out into the world. Start small, test your ideas, and remember, it's all about learning as you go. So if you're looking for more resources or need help starting to get started, don't worry. There are plenty of free tools out there to help you along the way. From online business plan templates to marketing guides, you've got everything you need at your fingertips. I'd also recommend reaching out to local small business organizations or even finding a mentor who's been where you are. There's always someone out there who can help guide you. All right, so you're all set. You've got the passion, you've got the strategies, and now you've got the mindset to make this happen. Now it's just about taking that first step. And remember, you're not in this alone. Every successful entrepreneur started exactly where you are at the beginning. The important thing is that you start. So go out, make things happen, and most of all, enjoy the journey. All right, everybody, as we come to the end of today's session, I just want to take a moment to remind you of something important. What we've talked about today, entrepreneurship, starting a business while you're in high school, it's more than just a way to make some extra money or fill your time. It's about building skills, developing the future that you want, whether your business idea takes off immediately or takes some time to grow. Every step that you take is bringing you closer to something bigger. So I want to encourage you not to underestimate the power of the steps you're taking right now. Entrepreneurship is all about learning, adapting, and growing. Even the mistakes you might make along the way, those are just lessons in disguise. So don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to try again. Each challenge you face is helping to shape you into a stronger, more capable leader. You're setting the foundation for something that could impact not just your future, but the lives of something or the lives of people around you. That's powerful stuff. Now, I know the path ahead might seem a little daunting. Starting something new always does. But remember, you've got everything you need to get started. You've got the passion, you've got the knowledge, and most importantly, you've got the drive. And I'm excited to see where that takes you. So as we wrap things up, I want each of you to take a moment to congratulate yourself for showing up today, for being open to learning, and for taking this step forward towards something truly incredible. Your time, your energy, and your willingness to invest in your own growth, that's what's going to make the difference. You're already ahead of the game by being here today. So before we officially close, I want to, just congratulate you again, myself. I want to thank you for showing up, and I want to encourage you to take that first step and to apply the strategies that you learned today. Thank you again. And until next time, take care.